Today we are going to see range and endurance. Okay. So in the last class we have seen descent and glide, right? We have problem also we have solved with descent and glide. So far we have seen climb, cruise, and descent. Okay. So while solving the descent problem, we have identified that few factors, that is the last problem we have solved right yesterday. So we have identified few problem or few factors. That is, when we want to have better range, we have to fly with minimum drag. When we want to get better endurance, then we have to take minimum power. So what is called as range and endurance? So range is the factor which is given with distance covered by the aircraft for full fuel capacity. Full fuel capacity. Similarly, range is endurance is a parameter which is given with time. How much time the aircraft is flying in the air for one full fuel capacity. For full fuel capacity. So, like suppose if you are having a car and if you are going with full fuel tank, so if you check like how much distance you can cover with your full fuel tank, right? So that is called as range of your car. So similarly for aircraft also. So if you are not worrying about the distance, but if you are thinking like how much hours or how much time, right? So I can travel with my car with full fuel. So that is called as endurance of your car. So similarly, that is for your aircraft. Okay, right. So here we are going to see some additional factors about range and endurance, and also we will be solving a problem. Right? So as a general people, what I will expect for full fuel, I will expect more distance, right? So suppose there are two aircrafts. So one aircraft is giving only 3,000 kilometers, and another aircraft is giving 4,000 kilometer range, right? So what I will prefer, I will obviously go for 4,000 kilometer because it is giving more range than the another aircraft, right? So range, if I'm seeing range as my parameter, which is required for my aircraft, then I have to choose with minimum drag condition. I have to design with minimum drag condition, and obviously the pilot also need to be informed with the parameter. So again, I am going to compare with another aircraft which is having 3 hours endurance time and another one is having 5-hour endurance time. So what will prefer? I will prefer 5 hours because I need to fly for longer time, right? So that is an advantage for us, having maximum range and maximum endurance. That is advantage for us. So we have to go for maximum range and maximum endurance. Okay. So when we want to have maximum range, we have to fly with minimum power. When we maximum endurance, sorry. When we want to have maximum range, then we have to fly with minimum drag. Maximum endurance, minimum power, maximum range, minimum drag. Okay, fine. So let's see how we can calculate the range and endurance. So there is a formula called Breguet formula. Breguet formula. So please remember that in your exam also there might be some questions will be there. Breguet formula. So Breguet formula is nothing but it is used to calculate the range and endurance of your aircraft. Using Breguet formula, you can calculate range and endurance. Using Breguet formula, you can calculate range and endurance. Range and endurance of your aircraft. Right. So what are the parameters we are going to see, like additional parameters? Let's say one by one. Till now, that is in the current scenario, the aircraft's range will be measured with gross still air range, GSAR. So what is this GSAR means? We have flight path plan, right? So this is our cruise. So already we have discussed that we are going to fly longer time in our cruise condition, right? Cruise. So when the range is calculated with the cruise alone, when the range is calculated with the cruise alone, neglecting this climb, takeoff, descent, and landing, just we are going to consider the range from cruise, initial cruise to final cruise point. That is called as GSAR, gross still air range. Air range means when we are flying in the steady state level cruise. But we cannot always predict the wind direction, right? So wind direction cannot be predicted. So headwind might be there, tailwind might be there, side wind might be there, gust and crosswind will be there, right? So all this type of wind directions will impact the range and endurance of the aircraft. How come it will impact? So let's say you are driving a bike or car, right? So when you are moving against the wind, against the wind direction, you cannot move with higher speed, right? Suppose you are going in a road with in a car, okay, and the wind speed is 5 meters per second. Let's consider 5 meters per second, okay. So let's say you are driving with 50 kilometers per hour, okay. So at this time you can feel okay, it is fine, it is normal. So we are going with 50 kilometers per hour, right? And you will be having a minimum acceleration, that you will be using minimum acceleration. But when the speed of wind increases 10 meter per second or 20 meter per second, that is huge, right? 10 meter per second, 20 meter per second. So what will happen? Your speed will start to decrease. It will come to 30 kilometer per hour with constant acceleration. If acceleration is a is constant, obviously you need to increase your acceleration to reach again with 50 kilometer per hour, right? When the wind direction is against you, right, against the vehicle, whether it is a bike or car or bus, any vehicle, okay? So that same is applicable for aircraft also. So when we are facing a headwind, we will lose the velocity, okay. So then we have to increase the acceleration, we have to give more thrust when we are flying against the headwind. But there is advantage with the tailwind, right? Always there will be advantage with the tailwind. So because it is going to help you to move faster. So again, let's consider that you are driving a car and this time you are moving in a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. When speed is tailwind means it is coming behind you, okay, not opposite to you, it is coming behind you, okay. So 5 meters per second if the wind speed is there, so you will be flying with minimum acceleration. But when speed of this wind increases 20 meters per second, your speed of the car will be increased 70 kilometers per hour. 70 kilometers. I'm just giving the approximate values, okay? So don't get confused like this is the exact value. I'm just giving an approximate value. So 70 kilometers per hour. These things you can do experimental also, right? You can identify the wind direction. So wind direction can be identified with weathercock. Yeah. So you can easily identify, if you are using weathercock system, then you can easily identify the direction of wind, okay. So this is used for identifying the direction of wind, weathercock. So in most of the airports they will be having in a wind turbine blades they will be having, right? So this is one of the good example to identify which direction wind is blowing, okay. So another one is weather sock, I think, in airport. Yeah, this is okay. So this is weather sock or wind sock, sometimes they will call. So this will be used in every airport wherever there is a runway, right? So there are even private runways are available in the country. So they will be using this wind sock. Okay, so they can identify easily which is the direction the wind is blowing. Okay. So you can drive your car or bike against the wind and you can feel the same thing like what happens with that. So when we are having a tailwind for our bike or car, even for our aircraft, the speed will be automatically increased because of the wind flow. Okay, so it will push you. It will push you forward. Okay, whereas when there is a headwind, it will pull back. Okay, it will pull back. So speed will be reduced to 30 km per hour. Okay, so this is the advantage when we are having tail. So obviously the gust wind and the crosswind for aircraft, it will deflect the path, right? When there is a crosswind for the aircraft, what will happen? There will be yaw movement. There will be side slip and yaw movement will be happening. So I'm just drawing the top view of the aircraft. So this is the wing. So if there is a sudden crosswind with 20 meter per second, let's say, so the aircraft will be deviated. The aircraft will be deviated from its original path. Suppose this is the original path, it will be getting deviated because of this crosswind. Okay, so crosswind landing is very worst thing in the windy regions. Okay, so I will show like aircrafts struggling the crosswind. So here you can see how the aircraft is behaving. So it is trying to come in a original path, but due to the crosswind, obviously the aircraft is having additional air movement, right? So this is obviously it is a dangerous situation for the pilot to control, but you have to design your aircraft to withstand this problem also. So crosswind landing is biggest thing where each and every pilot needs to get trained for this, especially. So here you can see. Okay, fine. So crosswind is playing that role, and we have to. It will be also affecting the range and endurance, right? Having tailwind is best for us because we are going to have. So always, when takeoff, while takeoff, we will be preferring the headwind. While takeoff, we will be preferring the headwind because we need to generate more lift. But once the required altitude is reached in the cruise altitude, so the pilot will prefer tailwind, okay, because we can have good range with less fuel consumption, right? Obviously, so that need to be discussed, right? So I hope you got it. What is range and endurance? So this is the parameter they have given. Like in headwind case, the velocity will be minus, right? As I told, from 30 km per hour in headwind, we will be having 30 km per hour during headwind. But in case of tailwind, we need to add the speed with the velocity of the wind. So if you are flying with 50 km per hour, then in case of tailwind, it is 70 km per hour. Okay, just I am giving like example. Okay. So in tailwind, you have to add the wind speed. In the headwind, you have to subtract the wind speed. Yeah, this is the diagram for that. So already I have shared this PDF with everyone in this group as well as in the uh, WhatsApp group also I have shared, and it is already there in Blackboard. So kindly request you to solve, like whenever you are having time, try to solve the problem. Okay? Say previously for flight mechanics, it was 5 hours. We had tutorial. I don't know why they have removed the tutorial this time. Even I have asked them why you have removed the tutorial, but they said no, we have to remove that. The tutorial is very much important for flight mechanics. Okay, so it is your duty to have that tutorial things solved. Although I am giving the time, but I cannot wait and I cannot ask you to solve. That will take much time. Okay. Right. So let's see how to calculate the range. So range is given with fuel available, right? Fuel available into kilometer per Newton of fuel. So from this, you may feel like how this equation has been described. You may have the doubt like how the equation has been described. So let's solve this example and then you will understand that, okay, this is the definition of this equation. So when there is a mathematical equation, there is a definition also, right? Like thrust minus W cos gamma minus drag is equal to 0. So this is for climb, right? This is for climb. So how we are writing, thrust is equal to drag plus W sine gamma. Sorry, sine gamma. Okay. So this is for climb we have written. So what this equation is actually indicating? What this equation actually indicating? That you need to know, right? Then only you can understand like how it can be done, right? So let me explain with the video. Like let me switch on my video and then I will explain it. So remember this equation: thrust is equal to drag plus W sine gamma. Thrust is equal to drag plus W sine gamma. Okay. Okay, fine. So consider this is the aircraft. Okay, so we are going to climb. So the equation is thrust is equal to drag W sine gamma. So when we are climbing means we are having an inclined angle, right? And we are going to climb like this, right? We are going to climb like this with the angle of climb. So thrust is a forward force which is from the engine, right? Obviously. So we are going to move forward. But what that equation defines, thrust is equal to drag plus W sine gamma. Weight is acting here, right? Weight is acting perpendicularly, right? But thrust is acting in this direction and lift is acting in this direction, perpendicular to the flight path. Lift is acting. Okay. So when IIT is acting, we are making a two components. One is W sine gamma, which is very opposite to lift force, W sine gamma. Another one is W cos gamma and W sine gamma. Okay, W cos gamma and W sine gamma. Okay. So W sine gamma is acting along with the drag. So if I want to fly this aircraft in the climb position, I need to generate thrust, which will be equal to drag of the structure and weight of the component. Weight component. Why I am saying weight component? Because W sine gamma is included in the drag force along with the drag force. So we are not only overcoming the drag force, we have to overcome the weight also. So the thrust required at the climb is more than the other phases. Okay. So that's why thrust is equal to drag plus W sine gamma. Okay. So I hope you can understand that. So similarly, each and every equation in this flight mechanics, not only in this flight mechanics, in any subject you can take, that is having a definition. So you should not learn just like that. So if you understand the concept of that equation, then you can remember the fact, right? So when we are climbing, obviously thrust need to be more. So what are the forces are acting? Drag is acting, and another component is weight. So weight is W sine gamma because we are having two components of weight. One component is carried by lift, right? One component in the equation. I hope you remember. Another equation was W L is equal to W cos gamma. So overall weight is splitted by two forces. One is lift is taking care of W cos gamma. Another weight component is carried by thrust. So that is what this equation defines. Okay, right. So you try to learn with that definition, like how the equations are formed, right? So an airplane has a weight of 1,80,000 Newton, 1,80,000 Newton at the beginning of the flight, and 20% of this is the weight of the fuel. So from this you have to take 20%, that is the weight of the fuel. So in a flight at a speed of 800 km per hour, so aircraft speed is given, the lift to the drag ratio is given, L by D ratio is given, okay, lift to drag ratio. So L by D is also called as aerodynamic efficiency. Aerodynamic efficiency. So remember that, okay, aerodynamic efficiency. And thrust specific fuel consumption of the engine is given. Thrust specific fuel consumption. So when they use the word thrust specific fuel consumption, then we can consider this as a jet airplane. When they are using BSFC, then we need to go for turboprop or propeller piston engine combination. Propeller piston engine combination. Okay, propeller piston engine combination. Okay, BSFC. So PSFC is related with thrust. This is given with piston propeller engine. BSFC is given with piston propeller engine. Okay, brake specific fuel consumption. This is thrust specific fuel consumption. Okay, so that is the difference. Right. So what we need to obtain is rough estimate of range and endurance. So we have to calculate how much range and how much endurance we are having. Okay. So if we calculate that range and endurance, that is fine, right? So I will solve this problem along with another problem we are having, like in the next class, which is very similar to the range and endurance.